Welcome to week 4 on how to plan to market your business. We're talking about referral base. We're talking about running ads, social, mostly social, no social, a ton of social, and how does it fit into your personal brand? And does a personal brand even matter? So that's the subject today. But before we dive in, Shane, give me a little return and report on this Monday morning.
You know, I always like Mondays, but this Monday I'm a little bit behind and feel rushed. One, didn't sleep great last night. My dog had surgery on Friday. Friday. Lost an eye, so he was waking us up a little bit in the night.
So you can't just glaze over that, bro. Your dog lost an eye. There's clearly a story. What's going on with your dog's eye?
Nothing exciting. I mean, so he's a French Bulldog. French Bulldogs have eye issues. He sees a dog eye doctor, and he had scratched his cornea or just got a hole in it. So we did a graft. Then 3 weeks later, a hole in the other eye. So we did a second graft on the other eye. And things seem to be going fine. He looks a little gnarly, but and then he was drinking water on Thursday, coughed, and his eye burst, which is pretty graphic, and it's not as graphic as it sounds like it, but it's still pretty gross.
His eye burst out of his socket?
No, not the whole thing. Just a little hole in it, and some eye fluid got out on his cone.
Oh my!
So my wife is standing over him when this happens, and she goes, "Oh my gosh!" And this is literally 5 minutes before we're supposed to go out the door to see the architect. And we're like, what do? We call my mom, who lives right down the street, to come over and sit with him while I go to this meeting we've been waiting for 3 weeks, as we try also to figure out what to do. On the way there, my wife texts the dog eye doctor, texts somebody else. Dog eye doctor's place is closed Thursday, Friday. They close on Wednesdays. They only work 3 days a week. They're like, you could try a couple other places to see if they can take the eye out. Undoubtedly, that's a specialized service. Not a lot of vets can take an eye out of a dog.
Yeah.
So we end up there like, well, you got UGA or you got Auburn University, which is you can go to. UGA was like, we definitely can't do surgery today, maybe tomorrow. Dog was in some pain, so Auburn said, we can probably do it today if you get here soon. Right? It's going to cost you a little more for after hours, but we can do it. Then we get there. The animal eye doctor, actually, he doesn't specialize in dogs. He specializes in every kind of eye for animals. So he'd just come in from seeing a horse's eye or doing something there.
Right.
And thought we were going to do surgery that night. They decided that since he's a French Bulldog, and if you put short-nosed dogs to sleep a lot, they can die. So they said, it's after hours. Our B team is here. We'd rather have all hands on deck when we work on your dog. So you're going to do surgery on Friday. So that was that. So we picked him up Friday. He was wandering around with the cone, trying to get used to having one eye, kind of deal. So
holy crap! I didn't even know it was a thing that they could explode their eye. My mind, dude, I got like a visual in my head right now that's like freaking me out.
Yeah,
eye like just.
It's and not the whole eye, just mostly the pupil, the tiny little part in the middle, sort of burst and eye stuff came out, and it leaked a little while. That's kind of graphic and gross.
Oh, jeez, you poor little puppy. Jeez Louise. All right, well, that's one hell of a story to start out your
weekend. And my admin who does the editing for the podcast is probably listening to this going, holy cow, I can't believe this happened. This is terrible. So
anyone that hears that story that has any kind of a heart is going to be like, that is horrible. Like, imagine that, dude. I sneeze. We all sneeze. I can't imagine sneezing and then your eye just going.
Yeah. Well, it actually happens to people with detached corneas. It happens to real people too. I mean, to people.
Yeah.
They sneeze in a detached cornea, and that's.
I've always heard that you're not supposed to hold your sneezes in because you could have a hernia. I didn't ever think that would be my eye that would have a hernia.
Blow out your eye.
Shoot out my eye. All right. Well, I'm going to let my sneezes
happen to people. That's another fear unlocked. You can detach cornea from
From
I
a
guess this
sneeze.
cornea didn't detach; it just sort of exploded. But I mean, still same area of fear and concern.
Yeah,
But
because that's
Teddy's doing
better.
good now. He made it through the surgery. He woke up fine. He's on some meds. He's getting used to depth perception issues.
Yeah.
Trying not to walk into the walls a little bit, but he's doing overall. He's seems pretty happy kind of deal. So we're happy.
Right. Well, that fits perfectly in with our marketing message today.
Yeah. So you ask how my week went. That's how my weekend went, Trevor. So I've been behind all
Oh,
day because I got up a little late because we were up like half the night. So
yeah. Yeah. Understandable. So it's all good. Well, this is the nuance in life, right? This is a business owner. This is what I love, right? You decided to own your own firm. You're like, hey, I'm gonna be an attorney, and then I'm gonna hang my shingle. And guess what? Just because your dog's eye explodes doesn't mean the responsibilities of business go away,
no,
right?
they don't. I
Every
still got
day. And I think,
payroll, still got new clients,
huh?
still got marketing, still got clients to service, right? Because I mean,
Yep.
as bad as it sounds, and you don't call somebody, you can call them and be like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm behind. Here's what happened. They might say, well, that sucks. That's terrible. But it doesn't excuse the fact that they really expected their call and they really don't care what's going on in your personal life. They want to know about their issue, their problem,
Yep.
whatever's going on there. So,
Yeah, 100%, 100%, and it just doesn't ever end. Doesn't
right.
ever end, and that's the choice we make. But it becomes stressful, becomes tough, which is why marketing becomes even more important, so that you have that stream of things coming in. And I
Right.
think for today's conversation, as we dive into week 4 of our basic structural setup of
Yeah.
what do you need to do, kind of in sequence to set up and really run your firm, or make adjustments to these particular areas in your firm. Marketing is this critical piece of figuring out how am I going to market,
Right.
right? It's not that necessarily into the weeds today. We're not going to talk like, how to do specific marketing, but we're going to talk about what marketing and what do you want to do? Just like we talked in previous episodes, that if you haven't listened to those, go back the last few and you'll be able to start up at week 1, 2, 3 and lead to this one for week 4. But just how we talked before, but you have to have a plan, right?
Right.
What
Because,
is the
yeah.
plan?
Because so many people that they get stuck. For me, the people I bump into, they're like, yeah, I've got to do some marketing, and they just spin their wheels. They don't even have any direction, or instead of picking an area to focus on, they want to do just a little bit in everything, so they never get any momentum. They never get good at anything. They're just throwing stuff out there a little bit here and there, and it never takes off. And that's been my experience when I talk to new law firm owners. They're trying a little bit of everything, right? They're running out to lunch. They're posting some stuff on social media, and they're trying to post on every social media out there.
Yep.
And the next thing you know, they're trying to shoot YouTube, and then they're trying to buy leads, and it's just all scattershot kind of deal with no
Yep.
focus. And like even you and I have talked about, and I know one of the issues we're going to talk about is personal branding, but they give no thought to that whatsoever. They just start posting stuff with willy nilly. So
Well,
that's
on that,
sort of yeah. Go ahead.
On that, with personal brand, this is kind of it's a hot topic these days. You got guys out there like Alex Hermosi, Gary V, who's pushing that like crazy as well. Like these guys are big on the personal brand. I'm curious. I already know, but just for our listeners, like, what is your thought on personal brand when it comes to owning a firm? Like, how do those correlate? Do they correlate? Is there a connection? Do I need to worry about it at all?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a connection, but it's also not the end all be all. And what I mean by that is, I think one, most people don't have any personal brand whatsoever, right? I mean, or and what I mean by that is there's no coherent picture of what their personal brand is. So they just post a bunch of stuff, and their personal brand is almost like, I'm a wife, I'm a husband, I got 2 kids, I'm a lawyer. That's the whole shtick, right? And that's not a brand. That's like saying, Fruit Loops is a food. I mean, that's not a brand. That's just a thing.
Yeah.
So I think you do need a personal brand, and I think you need to have some themes along that, right? That's what a brand is. It's a sort of coherent picture, and like for me, anything law firm related, I'm probably gonna have my vest on. I'm probably gonna have my hat on, right?
Right.
On every single thing. Why? Because that's what people get used to, right? That's the brand. It's like McDonald's always looks the same. It's got the arches, right? That's their brand. For me, I've got the hat, I've got the vest, the dress shirt. That's my look.
Yep.
So that's more my personal brand, right? And it's just coherent. It's what it is. And I don't even know that, if you're in the beginning, you need to do something crazy, but I think you should. If every video you look radically different, you've got no brand, and it makes it harder for everybody to figure out who you are.
Yep.
I mean, as bad as it sounds, half the people on your Facebook aren't really going to know you super tight. So let's get a coherent picture. Let's get something out there. Let's get it. I mean, and the same for like, if you're doing personal brand, post the same kind of stuff all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you love Legos, post Legos. If you love to work out, post workout stuff. But get some themes in there rather than this hodgepodge of, once I'm on vacation, once I'm out to dinner, once I'm playing my kid's soccer game, once I'm doing all this stuff that there's no coherency. I mean, that's not branding. That's just, I'm posting on Facebook for fun.
Yep. Yep. Well, that's great for the soccer mom who is not trying to run a business, and they're not right. That's, there's a lot of people that do that. And so I think the thing to establish, because we'll just kind of fly through each one of these. And again, we're not getting super tactical, but we want to make sure you understand everything that Shane, you're talking about. And it's the understanding that your brand matters, right? We need to have some kind of a personal brand, so don't disregard it because you're like, well, I'm just opening a law firm and I want my personal life to remain my personal life. As soon as you made the decision to open your own firm, that luxury for you, my friend, is gone.
Right, which also means, on your personal stuff, there's some stuff you may want to stay away from, right? Or maybe you don't, but it needs to be a decision. If you're one of these people who wants controversy and you think that's good attention, fine, be controversial. If you don't want controversy, don't post controversy stuff right on your personal page and think it's not going to impact your law firm stuff, because it definitely will, 100%. I mean, you talk about politics, okay, but you need to know who your avatar is, because if you're talking Democrat politics, but your avatar is Republican businessman, that ain't going to work. Or, if you're posting Republican stuff, but your demographic is, I don't know, immigration law, that may not work. Or it may work perfectly. Maybe you're only hitting a different clientele, but some thought needs to go into it because, like you say, everything's intertwined, and it's too easy to mess things up by an off-the-cuff comment. I mean,
I've watched it happen with companies that it was unintentional.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah.
And it happens. And then all of a sudden they're trying to play backpedal into it. And it's because they just never had a brand established. And with that, and it's the personal brand, right? These are different things. You have the personal brand and then you have your firm brand, but there has to be that congruency between the two as soon as you made the decision to be a business owner in that respect. Now, you can disagree. There's people that do. There's people that think, personal brand doesn't matter. I'm just here to tell you right now, you're going to get left behind. You just will. Like, there's your competitors who embrace this and embody this. They become a personality people care about, and they'll encompass it. So personal brand, it matters. Figure out what you need, what your look, what does it need to be? What is that? What is that personal brand for you? But that's just like all of these play together, right? Just having a personal brand isn't the end. It's not like I can just go post, Instagram videos and Facebook videos, and then that's all I need to do.
No, you're probably not going to go viral on your first
100 posts.
365 posts.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even if you're posting 73 times a day, like, it's not going to happen.
So
we go over there. So then let's move into referral, right? Because I think that's probably where a lot of attorneys are starting, right? They've got some relationships. Maybe you worked for a firm before you opened your own. And so you're gonna bank on those relationships. So talk to me about that as part of the plan. How should referrals play into it?
Yeah. And I think that's a great place to start, because usually it's cheap in the terms of money, but it's more intensive in terms of time, right? So, but it's most of us have a referral relationship. And if you narrow it down and say, I'm going to be a referral-based business, it means you don't have to take calls from vendors. It means you don't have to, look into running ads. You don't have to do that, but you do have to build your network then. And it's more than just going to lunch with people, right? You need to be strategic. You need to know who you want to go to lunch with, who is likely to be able to refer cases or business to you, and how do you get in front of them? But also, how do you care, right? Because referral-based marketing is a two-way street. So it's not just like, I just take stuff from you. That makes you a parasite. What referral-based is, you've got to be able to help them in some way as well, or at least have a relationship. That's why it's called relationship marketing, is because which means you probably ought to have a binder on Joe, and you ought to know where he went to school. You pull that off his website. when you talk to him, you ought to, find out about his wife and kids or husband and kids, and take some notes after the meeting so that when you follow up with him, you can have some specifics and you know who he is. You got to figure that out. I mean, but a lot of that starts with lunches, but then there's some follow-ups after those meetings, right? How do you build that relationship, and how do you really care? Because you have to care about the person. You can't just be all transactional, or if you can, it's okay, but it's going to be tough. I mean,
well, if you're transactional, you become a commodity, right? So if there's interest in them, if they can get some money out of it with you, but if someone else comes along with a better deal, they'll stop referring to you and refer to somebody else in a heartbeat. As opposed to you actually develop a referral relationship, right? Where this person and you actually do care about this person, they care about you. You do the little things that seem silly, but you keep that notebook, and then you do send a text or a call on their son's birthday.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, just wanted to say, saw your son's birthday. Tell him happy birthday. Here's a $10 gift card to go to Chuck E. Cheese or whatever. Right? Just like those little things. But I think that's a huge thing that we screw up, because especially in the beginning, because you need to make money, right? So you're like,
you're
I need to
hungry
make
and
this money.
desperate.
Yeah. So you're like, but if you come across hungry and desperate, you basically push everybody away. And so it's tough. There's a level of patience that has to exist. And you genuinely, now this is going to sound weird because not everybody's the same way as me. I'm very aware of that, but I don't naturally, my initial thought is not to be nice to people. It's not to connect with people. That's not my personality. My personality is, I'm an A personality. My personality is to go, right? And when I want to go and do things, and unfortunately, I sometimes will steamroll people. I've had lots of problems in life because of that. I've had to work really, really hard at not being an asshole. We'll just call it what it is.
Yeah.
But for me, when it comes to the planning side, so really what we're talking about today, it's like when you plan this out with referral partners, you plan these little nuanced things to connect with them.
Right.
And I don't think that takes away from, does that mean I'm inauthentic because I'm actually having to look at a paper that says, oh, that's right, I need to give a shit about Joe today. Send him a text. Right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. It's literally, I know my weakness, but I also know, and I genuinely do care about my partners and my clients and my friends. Like, I care, but I just don't naturally think to do it. And so I had to create that game for myself.
Well, and I used to worry, right? Because I started out this way, and I would go to lunch with a lot of people, usually chiropractors. And I would always go to their website, and in the beginning it was just me, and in the second part it was my admin would go to their website and download their bio, right? So it would be I would have a printout of that. And I'm talking to one guy, and I just ask a couple of questions about it. And he's like, dude, how do you know so much about me, man? This is, he didn't take it negatively. It wasn't like he thought I was a stalker. He was just like, dude, this is kind of cool. You know some shit about me. Like, dude, it's all on your website. He goes, yeah, but nobody takes the time to read that. Right. So it actually, instead of him being put off that I had done some homework on him, he was actually flattered that I cared enough to do some homework before the meeting. So it made me seem like I really wanted to connect versus just, bam, let's talk right to business. Right?
One is because nobody does that.
Yeah.
They don't do it. And when you're starting your firm out, you've got to do these little nuances. And then I'll give you a little cliffhanger, which is just because you've grown and your firm's bigger, don't stop doing the shit that got you to where you need to be. I mean, right? We get so big, we stop investing that way, and we stop creating that because we have no time or whatever excuse we want to throw in there.
And I want to say too, so often, if you're referral based and you're focused on growing your firm, that means you need to commit to a certain number of lunches or a certain number of whatever's every single week. What I see in people who are referral based is it's so time intensive. They feast and famine, right? Yeah. When they have business, when they don't have any business, they'll go to lunch with like 4 people this week and 4 people next, and they'll do this for a month, and then they'll get some business, and suddenly now they do none for a month or two, and then they don't stay in touch with their relationships, so they were just takers, and then they look up and they've got no business, and now they got to start over again, and it's this churn and energy. Whereas if they just did 2 lunches per week consistently, they'd be okay, right? And they'd always have business, and then if they had a follow-up system for lunches and all of that, which we've discussed in one of our other podcasts, right? How to have this follow-up system. So that's what we mean by referral-based, targeted, figure out who can refer clients to you, and then how often you're going to reach out to them and go, are you going to go to lunch? Are you going to go to breakfast? How are you going to connect with them? Are you going to have referral events? That's a possibility. what are you going to do? But you're focusing all your marketing efforts on referring, on those referral relationships. And the key term is their relationships, right?
Yep.
They're real relationships.
Yep.
And I get it. Put on your networking hat if you're like Trevor or me for that matter. And you just don't off the cuff, don't roll into, I love everybody, which
Yep.
some people do, some people don't. But it's a learned skill, 100%.
Yeah, for sure it is. And it's free. And most of right, creating personal brand doesn't cost you any money to do that. That's a matter of figuring out what your brand's going to be. We're going into the referral game. You're going to have a little bit of expense, but nowhere near the game when you start getting into paid ads and all that type of a thing.
And on the referral, I do want to say too, sometimes you're going to strike out, right? You're going to hit somebody and you're going to sit down in 10 minutes and no, we're never going to do business again. That's just cost of it. It's the same as a failed ad campaign. But you just keep doing it and you'll hit again. So everyone's not a home run. But all right, so we did that. That doesn't cost money. What's the next one, Trevor?
So
branding,
so running into it, we're looking at the social game, right? Which is incorporated with all of them, but I wanted to stay in this order, and then we'll finish with the ads. But when you look at social media, right, and what involvement needs to happen there, this is another one that's free, right? We don't have to spend money. Now you can run ads, and we'll talk about it in a second, but we're talking about just the social media. There needs to be a strategy here. Right. Yeah. Once you know what your personal brand is going to be and what you want to present as your brand, and then the branding of the company, right? Those two things. Right. You're like, hey, here's what I want. Then we start to look at, okay, I can generate some quick business, i.e. through the referral game. So I've got some business coming in, but now I got to present myself almost like this is my business card to the world, right? The first thing somebody does when they meet you, they get a hold of you in today's day and age, it's not necessarily as default as Googling you, which used to be the way it was. Now they're going to jump onto social platforms, whatever their favorite one is, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Right.
Who knows? They're going to jump on that thing, and then they're going to check out what do you do, right? If you sit and talk about I'm this kind of an attorney, and then they go to your page and you haven't posted anything in ever, right? There's literally nothing on there. It's a blank page with no information. That's where people are actually getting their credibility about you from, which is the craziest thing because it's not like that actually is a credible thing.
It's not real credibility, but it's social proof credibility.
Yes. And people want to see it. And this will tie in directly to ads as well, that you have your personal organic content that goes out. So I think one of the elements on that is realizing, just like we said, I sound like a broken record. What's your posting plan? Like how is that going to work? Are you going to post text? Are you a person that likes video? Like, do you like to talk into a camera, or is that a skill set that you have? Maybe you don't. So it's going to be all, copy and images. Are you going to share? What's the thing you're going to hook people in? Who do you want to be viewing your stuff, right? Who are you going to plan on showing up at this place? And then there's two different elements here, right? Because we've got our personal page, and then you have your business page. Right. They're not necessarily going to be the same thing, but again, interconnected there. So what are your thoughts, Shane? Because I know you've got a big social platforms on quite a few of them. Your YouTube's pretty big, and you've got a bunch of different things out there. So when it plays into that social game, how is the planning, the budgeting, all of that playing for you?
So for me, one, to realize social to me is a long-term play, right? None of it's not quick. It's not I'm going to post a video and go viral next week. That just doesn't happen. I'm going to say it doesn't happen in real life. Yeah. So it's a long-term plan, right? And you're building your audience there, and you're building for those connections. So it's not like money I'm going to have this year, right? It's long-term. Mm-hmm. Two, figure out your posting schedule so you can be consistent, because that's the biggest issue is you've got to consistently post in a regular manner over and over. It's better to post once a week, 52 weeks, than it is to post 5 times this week, 1 the next, and none the next week. The algorithms want you to be consistently whatever that rhythm is. So figure that out and make it simple. And what I mean simple is how you can record and shoot simply. Yeah. All right? Not so if you need a studio, get a studio. If you're just going to use your phone, cool, do that. But make it easy for you to post. And then also, I think when people say I'm going to do social, I would say narrow down to one of those channels in the beginning and focus on that. Because it's hard to win everywhere, and everything is different, and the content's a little different on all of them. So pick one and focus on that first, and then when you're winning, then look at adding a second channel. That doesn't mean you can't post your video on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, but you're mostly focused on Facebook, or you're mostly focused on TikTok, or mostly focused on Instagram. Whatever that is, that's where all your energy is going to, winning there.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's key too, because your content, and when you get nuanced with it, it's a little different, right? You might have
Yeah.
the same video, but the way it's going to be cut and edited is going to be different on TikTok, Instagram,
Right.
and YouTube. Right? They just will. And if you're doing it the right way, if you're taking the same video and just blanketing it, you're very ineffective, right? It's choosing that one and realizing that, hey, this is the thing I'm going to become the best at.
Right.
And there's a reason that platform, like learning the platform that you're going to go after as part of the plan. It's like, okay, which would mean, where are your clients?
Right. Where are your clients? And you need to be spending your time there, right? And if you hate Facebook, then don't plan to build your Facebook audience. Find the platform you like. And if your clients are there, that's where you focus on, because you're going to spend more time there. You're going to see what's working. You're going to do it all. So you should then focus on that, if that makes sense.
Oh, it totally does. It'd be like going and posting, if you went and decided to make a Snapchat account, you make a big Snapchat account and you're an attorney. Well, there's not a lot of people that are going to be hiring attorneys on Snapchat because they're all 13 years old.
Yeah.
So you got to know the platform that people are actually taking action on. And there's something I want to bring up about, there's a big change in the social media world right now. And this is like key. If you can get this and understand this, it's going to make a huge difference for you. It used to be Facebook and Instagram, the two primary, and LinkedIn was the same way. It was follower based, meaning the algorithm was set up to show you people you followed, right? So if I followed you, Shane, I'm going to see not all your posts, but I'm going to have a tendency to see your post. It's going to put your posts in front of me. But it's changed now. Now it's changed in a good way for those of you who are starting out or you don't have a big social following. This is actually like a gift from heaven. TikTok has been this way for a long time, but what TikTok does is they don't show you videos of people that you follow. They show you videos of content that you like. Right. So different content you enjoy watching, whether you stay on it and watch it for a while, etc. The algorithm is spun on that, which means you'll see content from people you have no idea who they are, which is great if you're a creator, i.e. business owner from this social platform, because now you go to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, they are all going content based, which means you could have 100 followers, not a lot. But if you put the time and effort into putting good content out, your content, if it's good enough and people want to watch it, guess what? You're going to get the views of what 2 years ago you had to have 50,000 followers to get those kind of views.
Yeah.
So content matters. Choose the platform and then realize that you cannot just put bullshit out there. And if you're using AI, ChatGPT to do it, guess what? So is everybody else, and you've lost the spirit of you, and you will not stand out. Now, ChatGPT could be a support, but you've got to figure out what is my message, what's my vocal, and what am I going to do here, and then figure out the consistency, like you said, Shane. What is the cadence that I'm going to do? Is it once a week? Is it once a day? Is it 5 times a day? One of the errors I've watched a lot of clients make of ours is that they will make this big ass target. They're like, I'm going to 5 times a day.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's great. That really is a good, there's nothing wrong with that. That would actually be a very good thing for all of us to do. But can you actually do it? And can you do it for more than just Monday and Tuesday? And then by Wednesday, you're burnt out. And then by Thursday and Friday, you don't post anything. And then Saturday, you're pissed off at yourself and you feel like a failure. So Sunday, you reinvigorate yourself. And then Monday morning comes around and you post 5 times on Monday, Tuesday. And then this time, Wednesday, you get halfway through the day and then you don't finish, right? It would be better if you posted once a month, but you did it consistently and had great content, right? There's a statement that Gary Vee talks about a ton, and it gets misunderstood by a lot of people, which is he always talks about this. He's all you got to constantly put out, as much content as possible, and he's all, and after 100 posts, 100 pieces of content you put out there, you might actually be good enough to start having some good videos. But what happens is people misunderstand that 100 pieces of content, yes, but there has to be an iteration and an adjustment every one.
Right.
It's not like I just keep doing it. Yes.
You got to watch your own stuff and get better and tweak stuff. And that's the key for, like I say, social is a long game.
Yep.
Social is a long game. The short play is, right, are you going to run ads or are you going to buy leads? That's and that's the next one. And honestly, that's one of the things I like. That's what I recommend for new businesses. Is you run ads, right? And you shouldn't run your own ads in the beginning because you don't know anything, right? Most people don't, unless you've got an ad background or things like that. But so you got to find a vendor. So you're going to spend a bunch of your time vetting your vendors, right? And here's the thing, you're still going to be wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
So you need to decide certain tests, right? Like one of the questions I ask the vendors is, how much do you need? How long's the test? And you're going to develop your own rules, right? Like my rule is 3 months. I don't like to test longer than 3 months. That's just my rule. Some vendors want longer, some want shorter, some say they can do it in a month, but that's mine. And I've got a certain dollar figure that I scale up and down. You're going to have to know, though, there's a certain dollar threshold you've got to cross to get enough volume for it to even matter.
Yep.
With any vendor. But they should be able to tell you that. And you're going to have to argue with them, and you're going to have to figure that part out. But ads are great because you can turn them on. And then you could turn them off. I'm against ever turning them off. I think maybe you shift money around, but I don't like to ever turn my ads off. I like them always running because I always want leads coming in. I'd rather honestly run ads and not take any cases than I would stop running ads totally, because I think that sets bad habits for myself.
Yeah, for sure.
But
what would you say? Well, yeah, what would you say? And I know they are, but and I'm not playing devil's advocate, I guess we'll say, on this, because I know. But you run a very large firm, and so running ads is super easy. Think back to when you started.
It was scary as hell, is what it was.
Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, that's what I wanted to get across.
It was frightening, because I remember one vendor, there wasn't even it was like, I don't even know, it was like $5,000 a month, and it was awful. Every month I was hurting to pay that bill. Every single month. Even though I would get clients in, it was scary, and that was like all in. That was most of my whole ad budget was one vendor, and it was scary every single month. And I was like, every month I was hurting for cash flow, trying to do enough crim law to pay that bill.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, we broke up. I think it was they just couldn't do the volume or something like that. So I switched to another one. But it was always scary. For the first whole years, it was always scary, the ads, right? Always 100%. It always felt frightening. It always felt terrifying. I was always worried about cash flow. I remember I switched to another one, and it was like $10,000 a month. And I was like, holy cow, and I hurt every single month, right? That's when like our revenue was $40,000. So I mean, like $30,000 or $10,000 was a huge amount.
Yeah.
It was always scary and frightening. And like my first ad sucked. I ran into Yellow Pages. I got nothing on it. I'm like one client. You've heard the story. But I mean, but it's going to be that way. It's always going to be terrifying. Hell, I run a big ad campaign now, and it's still scary for me, Trevor. And it's not like it's going to, if it goes south, it's going to bother me. Ads are scary as hell, but they do get clients in the door.
Yeah,
and if they don't, you know it, and you can shut it down and pivot.
Yep, and you've got to determine as your firm, how big do you actually want to grow this? Do you want to be this teeny little mom and pop operator that you could not run ads, you'd be okay. But if you have any desire of actually growing a real, actual business, right, an actual firm, ads are going to be non-negotiable. It's a non-negotiable
100%.
process. Referrals are great. And you can do some referral stuff. It'll be awesome. And you can do some organic posting and all this stuff. But until you want to start coming and playing with the big boys, you have to start running ads. Like, this is a guarantee. Doesn't mean that you have to be running $1 bajillion in ads out of the gate until you figured these things out. But there's so many nuances that go into ads and what to do and what not to do and how to play that whole game. We could spend 32 podcasts on it. And I'm sure we will at some point. Once we're done with this series, maybe that'll be the next one we go into. All right. And helping people out there. But that's really the essence.
Those are the areas,
Yeah. I mean, that's it. You just figure out what's your plan in all four of those spots, right? What are you going to do, right? When what's the initial out of the gate? And it's going to be a blend of all of them, but consider each one. Don't just say, well, this one's not for me. No, it is for you. What's the plan and how's that going to play? It might play a smaller piece of the pie. And this might be the bigger chunk over here. And at the very beginning, your ads is probably not going to be your number one. You'll be running some ads, but your bigger one might be referral, right? You're going to do the stuff that's
and it probably should be. It probably should be, honestly, if you want to know the truth. But I think that wraps up today's episode, Trevor. Any other last points on this one?
No, I just think, just what we've already talked about. And I think the key element for you guys is to realize that no matter what, this is the plan. You got to have the plan. As long as you have the plan, then you're able to move forward. And once you know what it is, then we're going to be able to jump forward. And next week, week 5, stay tuned. Get ready. We're going to be talking about the list and how to generate the list. What do you do with the list? And how does the list play into everything that we just talked about, right? And what does that really mean? And some of you guys may know what we're talking about. Some of you guys are like, list of what? List of to-do items? No.
It's a huge issue. It's great. Yeah, it's a critical part, and I've used it for years, and it's one of the fundamental pieces of success.
Yep, 100. So, all right. Well, we appreciate you guys being listeners to today's show. If you want more content from us, head over to LegalEdgeCoaching.com. We have free content there. You can get our free coaching series on intake and something we call the Power Hour. which will give you a baseline of how on earth do you become a powerful human being every single day. Again, you can get that over at legaledgecoaching.com. If you got value from today's show or the series at all, go ahead and share this up with somebody you know, somebody who might also get value from it. We appreciate that as well. And as of right now, we still have a few slots open for our one-on-one mentorship, which we are working with firms who do over $3 million a year to help you scale to the multiple $10 to $20 million range, doing exactly what it is that we have built inside of Shane Smith Law, and we want to work with you. So if you're interested in being considered as an applicant for that, you can also head over to legaledgecoaching.com and apply. We don't work with everybody. There's only a few select who are actually qualified to do that, but if that's you and you feel a calling to grow and scale beyond where you're currently at and you want to take this to the next level, that's an option for you there. But other than that, appreciate you guys being listeners of today's show. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great day.
Have a great day.